Man, we have been waiting so long for this movie. It has been in development for years, and now it is finally here. But is it any good? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my Black Adam movie review. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. All right, guys, so like I said, we are finally here for Black Adam, and this is a film that I was really looking forward to. One reason is, if you know me, comic book adaptations is one of my most favorite pieces of entertainment out there, besides martial arts films and television shows. Now, I am more of a Marvel guy, and I think that's just because I know more about Marvel comics, but at the same time, I do love my DC, especially those animations. I am a collector, and I am very proud of that. Also, I'm a big fan of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Pretty much everything that I've seen him in on screen, whether or not the movie was good or not, he did a great job. The man just seems really cool. He seems humble. He seems like a genuine great guy in front of and behind the camera. So I couldn't think of anybody else to fulfill this role. I think this is perfect. And again, I'm very happy that it happened. Now, this film is being directed by Mr. Jean-Colette Serra, and I'm a fan of his work as well. If we just scroll down here just a little bit and look at his filmography, he has a number of titles that I have been a fan of over the years, like House of Wax. I remember people crapping on that movie, but I actually like it. I own it on DVD, and it was pretty good. Orphan, I still haven't seen the sequel. I need to, or the prequel, but this first one right here had me turned upside down in the theater. That was another great one. Unknown was great, Nonstop, and Run All Night, and The Shallows. I mean, everything that I've seen from Jean-Colette Serra, I have liked. It has put a smile on my face, and so when I found out he was attached to this, I was very happy. But guys, my expectations for this, it wasn't through the roof, but I was really looking forward to it. Of course, I didn't want to be disappointed. This was one of my most anticipated films of the year. So whether or not it delivered or not, let's talk about it. And just real quick, I want to let you know that I did not know anything about Black Adam until I saw this film right here. I think I saw this originally in 2010. Superman Shazam, The Return of Black Adam. And I was saying to myself, man, Black Adam is a badass. He has to fight Superman and Shazam at the same time. And if somebody can do that, they are pretty badass. And this was pretty good. This is only this is 4 short films. You know, no, I'm dropping it. It's the Black Adam, Spectre, Green Arrow, and Jonah Hex. And so it's about like an hour and 15. And so, you know, each short film is maybe 15 to 20 minutes. But the Black Adam one is the first one, and that is the best to me. And that's how I was introduced to Black Adam. And I'll bring this up when we get into the review. But before we get into the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film is all about. Nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and imprisoned just as quickly, Black Adam is freed from his earthly tomb, ready to unleash his unique form of justice on the modern world. Now, the first thing that I liked about this movie, actually I take that back, not liked, but loved about this movie, is The Rock. It's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming through, fulfilling the role of Teth Adam, aka Black Adam. My goodness gracious, he was born to play this role. A lot of people say Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. Some people say Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. I disagree with that. I just think he did a great job. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was born to play Black Adam, and I loved it. I loved it. I don't know if I can see anybody else doing it at this point in time. And what's interesting is right before I started talking about my loves, I brought up this right here. And I will say that The Rock is not the same character as this Black Adam right here. And usually I would get disappointed with that because these are my expectations, but that's not the case here. To be honest with you, he's just really The Rock within the costume, within the role, with all the powers and abilities. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you was looking for something else, you may be disappointed, but it wasn't actually, let me just take that back a little bit. It wasn't The Rock per se. It was The Rock, but in his calmed down version, because this story, as we're getting to know The Rock, actually, as we're getting to know Black Adam, as he has come out of his tomb for the past 5,000 years, he's not just running around blowing up people for the hell of it. He is a bit inquisitive of trying to figure out what's going on, kind of a fish out of water, and just kind of in detective mode, like, okay, if you get in my way, I'm gonna beat your ass, but at the same time, I am trying to learn a lot of information to make sure I don't knock off the wrong head. And the way they did that, I thought was fascinating. There is a supporting character in this movie by the name of Eman. He's this little boy that resides in the city of Kahndaq. And I really do like the relationship that he had with Black Adam. I thought that was pretty cool, nice, natural, and organic. And the way that they used this character to help provide an exposition on who Black Adam, who Tait Adam was, worked quite well, to be honest with you. It wasn't forced or anything like that. Everybody knew who he was. I mean, you see in the trailers, like, I am the ruler of Kahndaq, and that's where I come from. Well, Kahndaq is still here in the modern day, and the way that Eman and the rest of the town people relate to Black Adam, I thought that fit perfectly. There's also a ton of action. This is action heavy, like some of the most action I've seen in a DC film in quite some time. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that is really the thing about it. It's just really all action, like 80–85% of action. So if you just want to see a bunch of people get their ass kicked and all that, hey, you're going to win right here. Everything else is a different story, which I'll get to in just a little bit. But the action is up there. Actually competed with Man of Steel. And the reason why I said that is Man of Steel may not be your favorite superhero comic book movie. It's up there for me personally, but everything is subjective. But Man of Steel is still one of the best comic book movies of all time when you're just looking at the action alone, not considering story, plot, characters, or anything like that. But if you're just looking solely at action alone and fighting, Man of Steel is like up there, top 1 or top 2 for me. I won't. Black Adam is up there as well. It's enough to be on stage and compete with that. And so again, if you just want a bunch of action, you know, you're going to win with this movie. The next thing I like about this is it is extremely violent. I mean, The Rock, Black Adam is killing people viciously, violently in this movie, and he does not give a damn. He just has no remorse. Like I said earlier, he's like, look, I'm doing what I got to do. Get out of my way or I'm going to have to kill you. And he's not just some cold-blooded assassin as well. He's a bit calculating. There are some things that happen on a whim like this, just super duper quick, that lets you know without badgering you over the head that he does have a heart and he is caring. It's just that the people that he does kill, you know, he just has no remorse for them at all. But he will save the day if it's necessary, whether he's conscious of what he's doing or not. And I like that. And when he was just showing off his powers, the way he was moving, how fast, his mannerisms, his choreography, the way he flew was nice. I liked that. It was slightly different than Superman. I also liked the whole Kahndaq backstory. There was a lot of that, and the plot went back and revisited old story points a lot, and I think that helped. There was also a lot of narration in this movie, and that can be a good or bad thing. In this film, it was fair. It wasn't overdone, but it could have been better. I still liked it for the most part, so that is a plus. I also liked the adventure quest aspect of it. It's not like Indiana Jones or anything, but I just did say quest, and it reminded me of Johnny Quest. That's been around since the 60s, but I saw the newer versions in the 90s, but I was kind of getting those vibes too, especially in the very beginning of the movie, not throughout in the second and third act, but in the beginning I was getting those vibes, which is another good thing. The whole story, the whole movie is also very condensed to maybe 1 or 2 locations, and that was pretty surprising to me. It worked, but it may also have caused some problems, and I will get to that in my negatives of the film. There was also a lot of comedy in this movie, a lot more than I expected. I mean, yeah, it was damn near felt like a Marvel movie just about. Now, if that kind of turns you off, hey, you know, lower your expectations, but the jokes did work. For the most part, they did work. Whether they were necessary or not is a different discussion, and we'll get to that in a second, but there was a lot of jokes in this movie. You know, it just depends on what you're looking for. And the story is super simple as well. It is super simple, so I don't know if you want something complex, but it is a simple story that can be a good or bad thing. All right, so that sums up everything that I did like about the movie. Now let me transition to some things that I really didn't care for in this film. The first thing is I thought this film did an absolute horrible job with trying to fit this movie in the context with the rest of the DCEU, the rest of this universe. The continuity was just not there. I was saying, wait a minute, if this character, and this character is involved in this movie, in these incidents, where were they before when all of this other stuff was going on? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, in other future projects in this universe, could they write in a story or a plot to explain it? Yes, they could. And I sure hope they do so, because if they don't, this is going to stick out like a sore thumb in a super bad way. And it's just not good. I mean, we need some cohesiveness here, and I'm not really finding it right now. If you're looking for it to connect to the rest of the DCEU, this film gets an F. But of course, we're not just judging it on that alone, so that would be ridiculous. I talked about the comedy just a second ago, but guys, it was sometimes too much. I don't think any audience member, any fan of this material, whether they like the movie or not, is going to walk out saying, you know what? It was a good movie, but there just was not enough comedy. If there was more comedy, I would have liked it more. Is that something that you really think is people are going to say, producers, writers, directors? The comedy worked, but it was unnecessary. The Rock is coming out, introducing himself as the ultimate badass, flexing his powers left and right, and nobody can stop him. And he's doing such a great job at that. And then when you make his character extra violent to where he is just annihilating his enemies, but then you want to cut in a joke, it destroys the tension and the anxiety and the excitement. You're taking the suspense and the thrills away. Man, there was one point at the end in the final showdown where, I don't want to spoil it, but you just say everybody was like, I'm tired of this, it's about to go down. And they had to throw a joke in. Now the joke worked, it made sense, and it was somewhat earned, but it cut the tension. And you really have to be careful when you do that, using comedy in your action scenes. A great example of it was Infinity War, when Groot came down, I am Groot, and then Captain America says, I am Steve Rogers. That worked. A joke in a serious battle, but you can't always do that, man. And I think at the end, I was kind of like, why don't y'all have to put the comedy in there as well? And I'm sorry, this review is a bit unorganized. I need to go back to the good. What the hell am I talking about? I haven't even talked about Avis Hodge or Hawkman. The dude came through. He looked badass. The man looked good. He was swole. He was stocky. He was like, I'm Hawkman. Look at my wings. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn. He looked like a badass. The effects, all that. He could fight. He can box. How did I not talk about this? Like, yes, Black Adam fought the JSA, and there was beating ass back and forth all over the place. Hawkman was getting in some hits. Dr. Fate was getting in some hits, and also Black Adam, and it was nice. I liked it all. I cannot believe I skipped over that part. That does not make any sense. I don't know what's wrong with me, but Hawkman was cool. He was a badass. He was kind of like the leader of the JSA, and I like everything that he was doing with his weapons. It's like kind of swinging it around his wrist, making it, like it was turned into like an axe or a mace at one point. Yeah, he was delivering some hits and taking them, you know what I'm saying? So I liked all that. Dr. Fate too, he was cool. Pierce Brosnan, he knocked that out the park. I don't really understand his powers. I just know that he uses magic and all that. I don't want to describe him as Doctor Strange, but I know that when he put the helmet on, he messing up everybody. And it was nice in this movie too. Now, as far as Atom Smasher and Cyclone, I know nothing about them at all. I think this is the first time I thought, okay, so the show Young Justice, is his name Tornado or Mr. Tornado? It's this robot android character that's red, and he does a bunch of tornadoes too. When I first started hearing Cyclone, that's all I was thinking, but then we got this black girl that spins around as well, and I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I got a Superman shirt on, but don't even know all the characters. And that's fine, who cares? Well, I don't, at least. Talk about me if you want to. Now, she was nice from the eyes, but I will say, and the action, it was cool with them, And so now, after I got that out the way, let me go transition back over to some things that I really didn't care for in the movie. And that was, I felt that Atom Smasher and Cyclone were very underused. They were very underdeveloped. They did not need to be there, in my opinion. I understand this may be your first day and you're rookies and stuff, but I just didn't see them serving a purpose. If we would have got less screen time from them and more with Hawkman, Dr. Fate, or more about the City of Kahndaq, that would have been better. But there was a couple of times I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If you don't know what to do in this situation, you just need to go home. Both of them, they didn't suck. They weren't horrible, but I just think they were in the way for further development in this film. And also, guys, the villain was weak in this movie. He was strong, but he was weak. It just was kind of random, but I didn't care. I didn't care. I mean, I just wanted to see The Rock come through and be a badass, and also the Jet Say, and they did that. And the story is fine. It's serviceable. I mean, it's simple. It could have been better. And they could have toned down the comedy just a little bit, but and they're just some with the pacing. It's a little messy here and there, but I still have fun with this movie, guys. I want to see it again. I look forward to seeing it again, paying for it in theaters and buying it on Blu-ray 4K when it comes out. And I think that DC, Warner Brothers, Universal, but Warner Brothers Discovery should be happy with this product. And you know, I think this is a win. I mean, I don't know what, I mean, the reviews are mixed right now, but I liked it. This is positive. And so I will give my rating for this at the very end. But for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And guys, why am I wanting you to subscribe to my channel? Well, I'm trying to hit some milestones. Subscribe. You get movie reviews, spoiler movie reviews, series reviews, a weekly movie news roundup show, interviews, and I also just talk about various television shows that are streaming right now with recaps, lives, reviews, and all that good stuff. So if you're into that type of stuff, subscribe. If you're not into that type of stuff, you can still give me a thumbs up, and I appreciate you watching. But guys, if I had to rate Black Adam out of a 1 out of 10, I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Yes, a 7.5 out of 10. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.